Okay, hi everyone, and welcome back to the Digital Nomad World Weekly Lecture. I'm Becca, and I will be your host. And today I will be talking with Luka from Malta about all things to do with remote work and different types of work that you can do and how to get the perfect optimum lifestyle. So welcome, Luka.
Thank you, Becca.
So I firstly want to start off by just asking you to tell a little bit about yourself. So obviously I said you were in Malta. Can you tell everyone like where you're from and I guess where you've kind of traveled with your work?
Okay, so I was born in a small city in Croatia. Never lived in a big city until I turned 18. Went to capital of Croatia, and my whole perspective of life changed. So went there for studies. Basically, studied remotely. Some people, work remotely. I studied remotely while working because I'm born in entrepreneurial family. My mother was an entrepreneur. Started a business that me and my brother continued. It was a travel agency, and I started working. And I always worked remotely. Started remotely. I don't know. It depends on the university. Sometimes you cannot do it, but in my, I always persuaded my teachers, so they let me leave even another country while studying. Worked remotely as in the travel business, started two software service companies that focused on Croatian market, also did it remotely, but I never understood what remote work means, or actually I wasn't conscious that it's called like this and this exists until 2018, when I met Andreas, our mutual friend, and then he told me about digital nomadism, told me about remote work. So I became conscious of it. And that's when I moved to Malta. I worked with one of the first blockchain consultancies in Europe, which was very interesting, built it to pretty high level. Didn't decide to stay there, moved to because I had my own businesses and I wanted to continue doing that. Moved back to Croatia late 2018. And this is just a very quick overview. There are so many things that were going on, but moved back, and then COVID started. So in 2020, had to basically shut down our travel agency, and this took a lot of time and a lot of energy, which was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Because everything that we planned to do before, now we had to. So basically we had thousands of clients, a lot of money abroad, in different tour operators, different businesses, different suppliers all over the world. Had to solve this issue of getting that money back, returning it to our customers. We still didn't get all the money back, but we returned almost all the money. In the meantime, I decided to continue what I was doing before for fun, which is helping other businesses grow. And I'm doing it full time, helping local businesses in the US. Most of them are CBD and vape shops. Created a system which helps them do everything from creating better customer experience, getting more reviews, increasing their revenues, visibility on Google, managing their employees. We created like a system that helps with everything. And then at the same time, right now we are developing NFT project, but it's not an art. It's actually a software that we will sell through an NFT. As it's my background in software as a service, we're creating one now that will launch through an NFT. And now we're here.
Awesome.
It's pretty much very, very quickly an overview.
It sounds like a very interesting journey. And it sounds like you've kind of grown up within the kind of travel world. So you've had an understanding of the ability to kind of move around. So I guess let's start at the beginning. So you said your family were entrepreneurs and they had a travel company. What were you
Yep.
studying at university, and kind of what was your first, I guess, what was your first remote job? What was the first job you had that allowed you to be location independent?
So my first job was my brother and I. We had a book of anarchy, or anarchist cookbook, it was called. it's a funny story, so I'm mentioning it. But we built, or we made smoke bombs and torches, and we sold them to hooligans. That was how my entrepreneurial journey started. I was 14. Then we started an airsoft club. But the first remote job or so was my business. It was what I did, travel agency. I was 17, 18, started working on it. We had a server set up, very old kind of server. It looked like Windows 95 software that you can use from wherever you are. And we always had trouble with it. So I moved to Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, studied there, and managed everything, booked hotels from there, booked flights, managed clients, which also helped because most of our clients were in Zagreb as well at that time. And yeah, but I think travel business as you have to do it remotely, because we had thousands of suppliers all over the world. So we had to communicate with them, and you have a bus somewhere 1,000 kilometers far away. You don't know what's going on, and a tire breaks, or it just completely stops, or because of weather, a yacht cannot move in Barcelona, so it just has to stay. So you have to decide what to do very quickly, speak good English, be very proactive or very resourceful with finding a solution. And I think it's the best industry to learn about logistics, about managing stuff very quickly without having much control. And yes, and about travel, I never liked to travel because of my travel agency, I guess, because everyone who was traveling with us, those were trips, first of all, those were group trips, about 50 to 100 people minimum. And they were always in a hurry. They always had to go somewhere with a bus. Every day they visited 1-2 cities or 1-2 places, and they always had to walk everywhere, stick in a group, no flexibility. It was cheap for that reason, but at the same time, how can you say you saw Rome if you were there 2 days and you were just walking there like a crazy person looking at different churches? I never understood people who go to places, and there are, of course, everybody's different, but I bet that from 50 people, not everybody wants to see the same church, but in different cities. So it didn't make sense to me at that time. It still doesn't. So I knew that business was going to, that kind of way of doing that business will fail at some point. At that time, I was 18. I noticed, TripAdvisor was coming up, Booking.com was coming up. Those are all competitors, and we had to change something. But we had been doing some like really interesting stuff. Like me and my brother, we connect with people very quickly. So when we moved to Zagreb, as I said, it was the first big city we moved into, and we met a lot of interesting people, entrepreneurs. And at that time, I quit my studies. I was very competitive as a kid, went to all sports activities, was captain of water polo team. We were second and third in the country with basketball team, went to all the competitions in geography, physics, maths, everything I could. So when I moved to Zagreb, I wanted to go to the best university. So I hated it because I couldn't sit still and I couldn't listen to the teacher. Had to be on all classes. It was completely opposite of who I am. It was engineering and like for software developers, basically, at university for software developers. And I quit and I started training people as a fitness trainer, and I trained water polo, training people and doing my business, moved back to my hometown. And when I came back to Zagreb, I realized there's much more to do there. We met a bunch of people, and then because we had travel agency, we met a guy who was actually a friend of ours, introduced us to ambassador of Croatia in Iran. And at that time, Iran was removing their embargo. So we organized delegation of biggest companies of Croatia, and together with ex-president of Bosnia, ex-president of Croatia, to Iran and back, did some interesting stuff with creating or organizing tournaments of champions of basketball of Croatia and champions of Tehran. There's always something going on.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you've kind of transitioned from running this travel agency to organizing kind of these tournaments. And then I guess at what point then did you kind of transition into the work that you're doing now?
Yeah, so I didn't really enjoy doing the travel agency business, because I was born into it, and I just continued what my mother was doing. And I also didn't think traveling this way is fun. I like those basketball tournaments. I like traveling to Iran and different countries, working with on these projects. But at the same time, I worked with a few businesses that I liked and consulted them on how to grow their business. So I work with, for example, one of the biggest dating experts in the world, and we created educational platform for men. Then work with some CBD brands back then, also about 5 years ago, when it got legalized in the US, in I think Colorado first. And yeah, I picked one project at a time for a year or two to focus on it, build it with someone else with revenue share or that kind of opportunity. But that was part-time. Full-time, only, yeah, what I do now, only 2020, when I had to do something. So that February, Andreas told me what's going on. And thanks to him, actually, we took it seriously, because at the travel business, we were directly hit. We had the software business in the travel industry as well, got hit, everything went to zero. Apartments went to zero. And the only thing I could do is quickly find some businesses that I know I could help. Found two businesses. One was landscaping business in Houston, and the other one was a construction company in Houston. And landscaping business, I still work with them. I still work with everybody from 2020 when I started, and they're growing very fast. Everybody's happy. But that's when I really went completely into helping, consulting other businesses, not mine.
So I guess, what would you say are the benefits of having multiple sort of part-time jobs as opposed to having one kind of full-time remote job? Or as a remote worker, what are the benefits of having multiple streams of income?
Yeah, so I think it depends. I think first of all, I believe if you focus, of course, on one thing, you will always do better and make a bigger thing, because in 24 hours a day, if you sleep 8, you have 16 hours. You can only do so much. But for me, as a kid, I always said I'm going to have 3-4 things I'm going to do. I didn't know what was work. I was like 7, 6. I already said I'm going to work on many things. But this is just what I enjoy. And I think everybody should see, and everything is possible. It doesn't mean that you will earn more money or be more successful, be happier if you just do one thing. So I believe in creating what you love, even though somebody might say it's not good or it's not possible. So I would say the advantage is it's never boring. The advantage is that you don't need a huge structure to grow it. If you are smart enough, you can, or if you are resourceful or have enough knowledge, you can automate a lot of things or delegate them, almost have like 80% profit or more. So that are the perks. But if you want to grow it, if you want to focus, it's always better to get one thing and then reinvest it. And usually the boring stuff is the stuff that grows the business. So that's why I don't have a huge business yet, because I never did one thing for long enough, which I might now because I really enjoy it now.
Well, that's good. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. I do think, especially if someone's looking to become a digital nomad or remote worker, it can be quite like daunting, the thought of perhaps leaving your main job or just taking on a new career adventure. I do think sometimes perhaps having multiple things going on at once gives a little bit more financial stability, as like you experienced during COVID, the travel business, you know, having to close. You still had other forms of income kind of there. What would you say some of the biggest rewards are of having a remote work lifestyle?
Yeah, of course. It's for me, and I think for many entrepreneurs, freedom is at the top of like a value ladder, or how can you call it? Like what do you appreciate most in life? For me, freedom is at the top, and that means freedom of location, of time, financial freedom. So my goal is to be able to soon be able to do whatever I want with whomever I want for as long as I want, like complete freedom. And I think that's the main perk or the main advantage, which I don't think can be possible with any other kind of work, unless you sell your company, or as long as you're actively involved in your business. If you cannot do it remotely, or if you don't do it remotely, you cannot be actively doing it and have this kind of freedom.
Yeah, it's a good point. So if someone was looking to transition into a remote work lifestyle, what advice would you give them for someone who's just starting this journey?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, think, what do you want? What do you really want? Not because somebody else has it, or because somebody told you this is the best, or I told you this is the best thing. Just think, what kind of life do you want to live? And I think a huge advantage is knowing where you want to live, because having a base, even though you work remotely, or if you're a digital nomad, having a base is a big advantage. Because after some time, if you want to build, moving around is not, it doesn't become advantage. It becomes a disadvantage. So I would say, just think without anyone telling you what's the best, think what you want. And then when you know it, think of what's, and even if you have no skills and you think, who would hire me? I want to do, I don't know, I want to design a website. And you think, who would hire me? I never designed a website. You just need to know it's possible, and then just go to YouTube and literally watch 20 videos on how to design a website. And then I would say, and that works for any skill. I think almost everything is available online. And after a few videos, you will see that everything almost repeats, and there is no special knowledge. There is no, anything that's not creative skill can be copied easily. So if you already are a creative person but never designed the website, everything you have to learn is technical, and everything that's creative will determine how much more you will get paid than somebody else. Nothing else is the same. Only the creative part cannot be taken from you or somebody else. So if you know the technical stuff for any skill, you just need to have that creative part. If you have it, you just have to create case studies, find customers that are happy, that will recommend you. The best way to do it is go to somebody else. Go to someone who is already in your network and do it for them. Even if it's for free, ask for a nice video, or ask for them to recommend you, or ask for revenue share deal. Be creative. There is no limit to negotiation, what you can get if you cannot charge as much as you want. But the only thing there is creativity and resourcefulness, and having the courage to do it.
For sure, yeah. We've started getting in some questions from the audience, so I'm going to go through those. The first one is, how do you manage to make a business profitable? And have you had any businesses that have failed?
Oh yeah, I would say I had been earning money in probably 15 to 20 different ways. It's been always fun for me to, like in anything else, to see if I can do it, and then if I like it or not, depends on whether I stay or I go. So I would say, so what was the question? How to make it profitable?
So the first one, yeah, how do you manage to make a business profitable?
Okay. So there are so many cool resources online which will explain it better than me. But whatever you do as an entrepreneur is you're getting into debt. So if you have no money and you start business, you're in finance debt. If you cannot employ people and you do it yourself, you're in your time debt. You just go in different kinds of debts. And if you get an investment, you can remove all those debts, but then you have a financial debt towards the investor, but then you have more money and you can launch it. And I would say there are two ways you can, that's how I think about it. You can build a business or you can assemble it. If you build it, you think about, okay, what do I have to do to provide value to get paid? Okay, and then you get paid, and then you hire another person because you see, okay, what's missing here? Okay, I need to hire another person. So at the beginning, you will have to work 3 jobs. Like if for a website, you will be a designer, you will be a web developer, and you will be a salesperson, and you will be a manager. Like you will have to do everything. And then you find somebody who can develop or build a website based on your design. So now you are a designer, a manager, and salesperson, but something else comes in, so you're again 4. And then whenever you will remove something, you will replace money with a person. You will earn less, have more clients, maybe a little bit. Actually, in total amount, you will earn more. Profit will be lower, but somebody else will give you your time back, so you can focus on another role as you grow business, and that's building business. So you will always have to figure out what's missing and then replace yourself with somebody else and find another thing that's missing. And then that's building. Assembling business is maybe if you have a little bit of money and you look at it from macro perspective. Like if you looked at let's say football field, which players are you missing? And you say, okay, I need a goalkeeper. Who's the best goalkeeper? You find him. Okay, and then you pay him well, and then he's here. Then you find another guy who is a salesperson, attacker, and you or midfielder or whatever in football, and then you put him here. So you like have pawns, like in chess, and you can assemble business that way. And this is for people who already are skilled, who already built businesses, who already understand that whichever skill you learn, there's somebody who knows it better than you. It's only important that you know how to learn it if you need to, and to understand what's the job or what's the role of that person, and how a good result of their work looks like. That's the only thing you need to know. When you do that, you know that sooner or later, whether you build a business or you do it by assembling it, you have to go to this level. You have to be on macro perspective, looking down and just making sure that they do their job the best they can. And for me, this is a better way of assembling, because when you build, there is a limit. There is a limit, and you will have to use a lot of your time. And after some time, you realize what's the point of you doing something, because you can always learn it. But if you have 5 people doing something for you, why would you be the 6th? There's always somebody that can do that for you, and you can just assemble a really cool team, and then you get your time back, and then you figure out how to be more. It's just more fun.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's interesting to kind of hear the different ways of building a business. So we have another question. Can people who learn creative skills online be as good as people who do it in a traditional setting? Yeah,
Like
there are
traditional if they get employed, or?
I assume, like, because you mentioned before about looking on YouTube for kind of like tutorials and things like that. I think the question is kind of asking, like, if you were to learn a skill online by like researching, is it as good as actually learning something in a traditional setting, like perhaps in a school, in a university, or in somewhere where you're going to learn physically?
Oh, okay. So that's a question. Okay. And if I didn't answer completely, just write in the chat to explain something, or if anything's missing. But yeah, I would say I'm really against traditional education. I think you won't find many people who hate it so much because if you want a 5 to 10 year holiday, then you go to the university. And I think the only goal of education should be to teach children or people how to learn. Because if you know how to learn, nobody can stop you, or there's no point to go into the university because you will learn it anyways. So if you ask me what's better, to go to 3-year university to become a website designer or marketing expert, which you will never become in the university, because how can you compete with somebody who goes 3 years to extended holiday where they only learn about theory? How can you compete just looking at the skill set with someone who goes to YouTube, knows how to learn how to design a website, does it in a week? For me, learning a new skill takes maybe, if I need to learn something, it literally takes me 2 days to learn something completely new that I can get a job probably and do it better than somebody who, and if you do it with, you compete with somebody like that in a week or 2 or 3, doesn't matter, they learn it, or they buy a course, or they hire someone mentor, or learn from a friend. They are serious about it. If you're serious about something, you don't need 3 years about learning of anything that's serious. It's only a scam that not only not only you lose money, but you lose time, which if you will come to a level where you earn enough money, where you don't need, when you don't need it, you only need time, you really realize how much valuable your time is. And then you get mad at anything that takes time from you. So if all the kids, I always say, if you have everything you want, like everything, financially stable, you're happy with how you look, behave, you have friends, everything, like you're on Maslow's pyramid or hierarchy of needs, you have financial security, you have food, shelter, you have great people around you. So you don't need anything. That's when you can make, and you have a good sleep, of course, and those things. That's when you make good decisions. And that's where I think if we could achieve that, there would be no wars. People would not act out of fear, because university forces you to go there because you're afraid, because your parents tell you to do so, and so on and so forth. So if you're afraid for survival, you'll do a stupid decision. But if you have everything you want, there's no need. You can choose, you can pick. And if you're serious about your education, you will do it quicker than 3 years. Whatever is there that can, and what's the goal of the university? If it's earning money, you don't need 3 years.
Yeah, I guess I somewhat agree. I think it could be subject dependent, or perhaps dependent on what you're studying. But I guess,
yeah, for now, being a
definitely
doctor,
an interesting yeah.
for now, being a doctor requires a university. Maybe, I mean, not maybe, for sure, in 10 to 100 years it won't require, but for now it does. I'm not saying everything, but huge majority of things that don't make sense. And don't get me wrong, if you go to Harvard, of course it's valuable. Yeah. But I know people who went to Harvard, and they say the best way to go to Harvard is if you already have a business, and then go to Harvard, because then your network really means something. If you go when you're 20, it's not as valuable as if you go when you're 33. And you can go to even to summer school in Harvard, which is 3 weeks, $8,000. You get huge network anyways. and it's better to go when you already know what you're doing and why you're going there.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic for sure. We have another question. It's, I guess, going back a bit more to the business side. What is your advice for someone who is a cloud engineer who wants to start a digital nomad journey? What advice would you give them for, I guess, maybe creating a business within that?
Cloud engineer. So like a developer with cloud systems, or because if you help people integrate, let's say, cloud system in their business, or whatever that means, cloud engineer, I would say, you got it easy. It's not that difficult to. So first of all, it allows you to move freely. I would say invest in your equipment so that you never run out of internet. Have a separate, I would always recommend, if you have financial means, get 2 laptops, because that's your office. Never be unprofessional so that you lose connection or there is noise when you work. Have 2 laptops, because you never know when you throw, one will die or something will happen. And then and that's only if you already got a job, if you have financial means. If you're looking for a job, I don't believe in CVs unless you have to. I would say look for personally knowing the person who can get you a job if you're looking to get employed. Look in Facebook groups, start chats, add all cloud engineers you can in this world of your Facebook, and don't message them. Just start writing about cool stuff about cloud engineering. And only when they like or comment on your post, start a conversation with them. Because if there are 10,000 cloud or businesses that need your service, and you add all of them to your Facebook or LinkedIn, or wherever they are, it's just a matter of time. It'll be easy for you. But if you're gonna send CVs, it's a paper. Nobody knows your personality. Nobody knows who you are. Like if you look at me now and you look text, which I send you, you would think, totally different perspective of me. And it happened before, because text doesn't represent the person, and the paper is just, nobody will employ you because of the paper. They will employ you because of you. You don't have to even have the best skill set. Just need to be easy to work with, enjoyable person. And that's it. And if you're going for CVs, there are so many remote work websites like Becca also can help you with that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Digital Nomad World has their own. And as the other digital nomads, easy. Go physically, start traveling. And I think you can find a job pretty quickly, or at least a gig, something part-time to get paid something. Bulgaria, for example, is not expensive. You can live there easily and continue your life as a digital nomad or work remotely. And the most important thing for anything is just find one. Just find one. Make them so happy. Think about whatever fits together with your service and provide that for free, even if they don't ask you. Like if, for example, you make a website, I'm just saying websites because it's so easy. Or if you provide a cloud and you integrate everything in their cloud, what goes together with that? Probably it's a video, how to use it. Give them that video, or train them how to use it, or create a website chat or some widget that when they press it, you get a message they need help. Like think of those things which make it easier for them, and you can even charge for that and create a passive income if you figure out how to make additional service which goes together with your service.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. That was very useful. We have one more question that came in. It's kind of jumping back to the educational side of things.
Okay.
So you said about possibly like learning things on YouTube. What about careers like being a doctor, being an engineer, being a chartered accountant? like, how do you become one of those on YouTube? Is it possible? Are those something you still have to go and study in a traditional way? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
If your dream or goal or purpose, or you believe it's a purpose to become a doctor, then go to the university. If it's not being a doctor, but helping other people or helping them heal or something, because there's so many things that you can do. And I don't know what your situation, if you want to connect with me, we can chat about it, but I'll give you two examples. One example is I broke a lot of bones in my body when I was younger, playing different sports, had to go to surgery of both knees 2018, tried to solve it my way because I was also a fitness trainer, everything. And none of the doctors teach you how to solve your knee pain, for example. And there are so many things we don't know about our body, but when you study medicine, nobody teaches you about some common sense things. And my father was a doctor, so I know when they cut your body, it's never coming back to the same, never. So and I believe most things can be healed in a natural way. So if you have knee pain, for example, have a guy who I learned from, who teaches you how to solve knee pain, and it's the opposite of what everybody else teaches you. So you need a different way of squatting, different way of exercising. Everything is different, and it's a miracle, or it's a miracle. It's a crazy to think that right now in 2020 or 22, or whenever I found out about him, we realize how to do it. And in literally 6 to 8 months, my knees or my body has never been better, never felt better. And I don't have to go to the surgery. So, if you're studying medicine, maybe you want to help other people solve their pain or some other issue. So you can do it. This guy is making so much money now, just and helping millions just through Instagram remotely, just recording videos of how to do it. That's one thing. The other way is if you really want to be a doctor, proper doctor in a hospital, you can still do it. You can still learn how to do it by either going to the medicine school, or you can find one problem that somebody has and find the way to get authority. Because if you say it and you're not a doctor, like for example, how to, I don't know, whatever, you have problems with breathing, you will need authority to solve that kind of problem. So you would probably need to go to some kind of university, which will give you a certificate or something else. But then after you finish, after you get the knowledge, you can do it remotely. You can teach other people how to work on their breathing or stop smoking, or there are unlimited things you can do. I know people who coach other people how to earn money online. They're literally teaching people how to get others to pay them to teach them how to play a computer game better, or how to play chess, or how to learn how to breathe, or improve their jumping. Like it's just important to find one thing, one niche, and then connect it with what you want to know and what you want to be best at. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was clear enough, or if it was.
No, I think so. Yeah, I think it's just kind of looking at what level you want to kind of go in at, whether you want to work within an institution or at a professional level, or you've given examples of other people that have found other ways of kind of working within their careers.
Yeah, there's even a machine called Da Vinci now, which will probably in the future be very accessible. It's very expensive now, but countries usually buy those machines to be able to perform surgeries remotely. So I think the inventor or the company is from Sweden, and they can do surgeries from Sweden now. So
yeah, that's really cool. So we've come to the end of our session. We've run out of time.
That was quick.
I have, it goes quick. I have one last question for you. What one piece of advice would you give to other digital nomads?
To other digital nomads, that's a big group. Everybody is different. Like one advice, create your reality. And also, what I would say is, and this is my, I have a book of thoughts, a lot of pages of what I think, but the last 8 months, I think I've been as grounded as I've ever been, and in kind of zone for a long, long time. And I think it's because I've stopped. I realized, first of all, that you will only leave. So if you look at the existence of everything, I read one book about the origin. It's called The Origin. And it talks about the existence of universe, when it started of the universe until now. So if you look at human species, we just don't exist at all, almost in the history of everything. So whatever you do, and you're afraid that you will fail, or you won't do something good, or that you're meant to be better and you don't want to do this because you can do it, who cares? Because you're gonna die, and it's 80 years. So if you wanna, I don't know, be a football coach, and everybody's telling you be a billionaire, who cares? Doesn't matter. And even in infinity of everything, you can be Elon Musk and get people to Mars. Again, who cares? Because this is like, Elon Musk will live 80 years in humanity if it continues for next million, or even 1,000, or next 500 years. Anything somebody else does will trump Elon Musk's thing. And if that's not what he wants to do, or you want to do, again, he won't be happy, or you won't be happy. So I would think, because of that, if you live 80 years, nothing matters, but at the same time, every single detail matters. So if you live 80 years, listen only to yourself, only what your intuition says, only what it tells you, because you have this perspective that nothing matters, and just because nothing matters, everything matters what you do. And stop talking about what everybody else tells you what you should do. You just ignore it. As long as it doesn't hurt somebody else, and as long as if it doesn't hurt anybody else, whatever you do, no judgment at all.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. That was a good note to end on. Thank you so much for everyone for joining today, and thank you, Luka, for speaking with me.
You're welcome.
If anyone does want to get in contact with you to continue the conversation, they can chat to you via the forum, or do you have another way that's best for them to contact you?
Yeah, I can share my, I don't know, I'm not really active on social media. I should, and I will be in the future, but I can share my WhatsApp privately. If you reach out, my Facebook is Luka, like this name and surname, as you can see here. I have a profile picture in front of a bluish background. I can send you links, Becca, or I can share them in forum, and that's it.
Yeah,
easy.
Share them on the forum. That would be fantastic. Perfect. Thank you very much. Next week, I will be speaking with Rocco, who is a remote musician and influencer. So join me then. Thanks again, Luka, and thanks for everyone for joining. I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Becca.